Hello everyone and welcome to more How Good Are as usual. Today we're going to talk about some feathers. Starting out, we're going to start with Ikumi, who is the Moe kind of maid, who is very old. She's like 19 years old. Her personal, it's terrible. Let's not worry about it. But more importantly, let's talk about her as a gameplay unit. She has 2 Excel discs, 2 Blast discs. Wonder if that's going to come up later. And she's a heal type. So once again, we need to worry about what does a heal type actually need to do. Well, of course, healing, but maybe they might need to have some utility, maybe some lasting buffs, maybe some stuff like that to keep people alive. Because I know it's called a heal type, but more accurately, it would be to call them a keep people alive type. And there's more to that than just healing. So the stats are... they're like the most average stats you can possibly ever have. Like I think if you averaged every single character in the entire game and then had like the average stat line, this gets very close to it. Maybe a bit more attack and a bit less defense, but even so, it's very close to like the most average stat line you could possibly have. Moving on, we have the Connect, which of course, as you might expect, heals, but it also gives attack up. So hey, we at least have someone who's healing who can also boost a little bit of damage. Hey, that's something that many other healers don't have, so that's at least something. But apart from that, like the Magia Seal is barely useful at all, if ever. So I mean, it does HP restore and attack up, which I guess also, once again, if you just go across most characters in the game and just average them out, then yeah, you're gonna end up with an attack up, and since she's a heal type, she gets the HP restore. So once again, it's a fairly average kind of Connect that doesn't have many bells and whistles attached to it. Like I said, the Magia Seal, first off, there aren't many quests where that's even useful, and secondly, even on quests where it's useful, it's 35% chance. Guess what? There are usually enemies with at least some status ailment resistance, maybe like 20%. Of really hard quests, so actually hitting this actually is not actually that easy. So yeah, that sucks. Moving on though with the Magia, so it's sadly a single target Magia. However, that won't really matter too much because you're going to play it for the buffs that your team gets. And what buffs does your team get? A defense up for all allies, 55% for 3 turns on Magia level 5. Awesome, that's amazing. That is one thing that I miss on a bunch of other healers, is just having anything that keeps your team alive while you're not actively healing. And of course, the heals on top of that, with like 30.5% on Magia 5. So it both heals and then gives a defense up to make sure people stay alive, because of course you can't Magia every turn, you can't Connect every turn. Your people need something to survive on the turns that you aren't healing directly, and this is a really nice thing to have. Other characters have a damage cut. For example, Madoka is really good at keeping team alive by having a damage cut on her Magia. That's also really awesome to have, but she has the defense up, and you can combine both of the two, and if you have both 100% defense up and 100% damage cut, you're kind of laughing at anything that the enemy can throw at you, so that's really amazing. And it also removes all status ailments, but I don't know if it removes status ailments before the heal or after the heal, because there are three status ailments. There's Curse, there's Bind, and there's Dazzle, all of which prohibit healing. So if you want to actually heal characters through that, then the status ailment remove has to happen first and then the heal. But I don't know in which direction it happens because I don't have her. But someone who has her can probably tell me in the comments which happens below. But the best way would be if status ailments were removed first. Then it would be amazing. But yeah, overall, this is actually a really decent Magia. And the double is just a bit more of it. Who cares about the double? But the Magia is actually pretty good, really good defensive Magia. So overall, we can say, hey, her stats are average, her Connect is average, and her Magia is quite alright, actually. So will she actually get to Magia much? Because of course, on a character like this, you kind of have to get to Magia much. Because if you can't use the Magia, then it kind of doesn't matter that it's actually kind of alright. Also, Divine, of course, there's this whole all completely defensive apart from the attack up. So you would play her on a stall team. So if you could look back at her discs and kind of see that, man, if only she was an Excel Gorilla, because if she was an Excel Gorilla, she would be able to get to Magia a lot more nicely than it is with having 2 blast discs instead. And her personal doesn't give Excel. It removes status ailments from self or something. It's terrible. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But maybe the Spear Enhancement can do something about that. So for some reason, it gives chances stun 25%, which is more than for most other characters. So yeah, that's good. Thumbs up for that. What else does it do? Well, a whole bunch of stuff to just survive and just basic bonuses, some damage cut, some regenerate because she's a heal type, some small blast damage up. I say small, that's about as much as Cool Homura gets, because Cool Homura is fucked. Then some small bonuses that other characters get as well. And then the only thing that's really special for her, I would say, well, outside the stealth aim resistance, because she's a heal type and that's good, is that she gets anti-skill seal, which is good to have on supportive characters, because supportive characters, you don't need to worry about putting offensive Memoria on them. So you can put either defensive Memoria on them or just straight up utility Memoria. Something like Quell Bloom is really good on them. And making sure that you are actually able to use these is really good. So anti-skill seal, make sure you can always use Memoria, but then again, it doesn't happen very often at all. Magia Shield, on the other hand, is weird, because there's not many cases where you get hit by a Magia anyway, and if you get hit by a Magia, usually you want to Quell Bloom the enemy on the turn they're going to Magia anyway, and that kind of makes the Magia deal no damage. But I guess if you end up in a situation where the enemy is going to use a Magia and you don't have Quell Bloom ready for some reason, because you misplayed earlier, then you can at least be certain that, hey, probably your Ikumi is going to survive, but that doesn't mean anything if no one else survives, so nah. But at least it helps herself stay alive a bit. It's like, for example, especially if she gets hit by like a single target Magia, that might make a difference. So yeah, and then her active just heals everyone. It's a 10 turn cooldown, which is quite a lot, but at least it's something to have when you think your team is about to die and you don't have Connect ready, you don't have Magia ready. So overall, she's actually looking really fine. She doesn't have many things that are complete game changers, but she heals well. She has defensives. She at least has some sort of offensive capability with the attacker. So overall, she seems quite alright. Only big problems are that she has no good way of actually getting to Magia. And that's kind of the big problem that Ikumi faces. She has no tools to help her get to Magia or help other people get to Magia. She doesn't have that either. She can't give MP to other people or MP up to MP like Excel MP gain up or something like that to other characters. And she herself doesn't even get a standard MP bonus. She only gets the MP above 100 bonus, which everyone gets. So yeah, that kind of sucks. You kind of have to play her in a team where other characters give her MP or do Excel combos to have her get to Magia, and then you can use the Magia to basically stay alive. So you can play like together with a Madoka and like have the Madoka keep pumping MP into her. But keep in mind that if you play it like that, who gives the Madoka the MP? Because if you play like double Madoka, for example, they give each other MP all the time, and that's how you can keep playing Magia teams. Or if you play Oriko also gives MP, like Excel MP gain up. Oriko does that, so Oriko Madoka can do that. But with Ikumi Madoka, for example, it's all about Madoka trying to help Ikumi get to Magia, while Madoka herself is sort of like, where's my MP? Guys, where's my MP? I'm getting an MP over here. And that's kind of the main problem that Ikumi has. Like, you can compare this with a Kako, who also has a similar disc set, but Kako at least has a personal with Excel draw, so Kako can actually force Excel combos to get to Magia faster. Ikumi doesn't have that, and that's kind of the big problem that Ikumi has, that in theory, if she was able to spam Magia, she would be really awesome, and she would be really amazing, one of the best healers in the game. But since she can't do that, she's kind of meh. She's kind of just average, you know? She's kind of still average. And way too old. Moving on, we have Tsukasa, who exists. I mean, getting her is actually not that easy, because she only exists during very specific time frames, during very specific events where she's like hanging around in the shop. I guess she just rang up Mitama one day and she was like really sad that she only has Tsukuyo and no one else wants to play with her. And so Mitama says, yeah, you can sit in my shop, and sometimes, like once in a year or whatever, some people can just buy you, I guess, and then you can fight together with them, and they're gonna probably put you on the sidelines after one fight because they realize how bad you are. However, moving on to actually talking about her as a character, we see that she has 2 Excel discs and 2 charge discs. Well, for purely playing Excel strategies, at least this is still better than if she had 2 blast discs like some other character. So at least fully towards playing Magia style, this is a tiny bit better, but still Excel Gorilla would have been better. More importantly though, she is full Magia type, so we can see that, oh, we're going to look and see if she can actually do some offensive Magia stuff. Awesome. Her personal doesn't matter. Her stats are terrible. Like, take the stats that Ikumi has and like remove a whole bunch of it on every single stat, and then take a bit more away. and you come towards this, and it's terrible. It's actually terrible. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, because maybe the effects that she has are really awesome. For example, maybe her connect is really good, gives MP restore and nothing else. Why did she not gain another effect on my uncap? Most other characters, when they get uncap, get another effect on their connect when they reach 5-star. She doesn't. She has this effect down here, which I'm going to tell you later why is not actually that great. And I mean, in most cases, if you play it without Tsukuyo, it does absolutely nothing. So it just gives a bunch of MP restore and nothing else. Nothing. Literally nothing. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. Hey, maybe a Magia is better. It has one effect. An effect that many other characters have. It even deals slightly less damage than other characters' AoE Magias does. Like, other characters usually have 360. She has 350%. Why is she missing effects? She looks like an unfinished character. She looks like a character, even with her stats, even stats wise. She looks like a 4-star character, like someone who's still capped at 4-star, who people might go like, hey, please uncap Tsukasa, please. But that's just a nightmare that we're living in right now. That this is actually what happened, is that she did get uncapped. She did go to 5-star, but her stats are still god-awful. She still didn't get effect on her connect, and she still didn't get an effect on her Magia. They forgot to actually uncap her abilities. They only uncapped her in stats, and even that, not so much. She's awful. She's actually god-awful because she's missing effects. Like, if she only had one effect, but this one effect would be absolutely absurdly amazing, then yeah, that would be cool, whatever. But it's only Excel and Pegan up, and like I said, other characters can do that too. It's nothing special. I mean, sure, if you're playing her specifically on a Magia team, then yeah, it's an effect that you want to have. It's an effect that at least has some use. But also, if you play her on a pure Magia team, she's not an Excel Gorilla, and she doesn't have Excel Draw as a personal, so she might have trouble actually using Excel combos. Maybe her Spirit Enhancement. We have MP gain up, a bunch of MP gain up nodes, so at least once she's over 100, she will have the capability of using multiple Magias in a row, but you're doing something like Excel Magia. When you're over 100, that would be quite nice. But even so, it's not that amazing. She does get a bunch of damage up for her Magia and Doppel, which, you know, is fine. That's fine. But her Magia isn't that great. Her stats are terrible. Because her stats are terrible and her Magia even does less damage than other normal guys, this doesn't even matter that she gets bonuses on her Magia, because other characters will do more damage by just having more attack than what she does with all her buffs. So what else does she have? Does she have anything special apart from the evade? She has charge combo, charge count plus up. Charge count plus. We need a shorter name for that. That's such a mouthful to say every single time. It's only +1, but hey, would you like to play a charge combo on an Excel team? Would you like to play charge combo on an Excel team? Keep in mind she gives Excel and P gain up on her Magia, which, I mean, if you have charges and you use an Excel disc, helps, but wouldn't this be way better if you make use of this buff on an Excel team? And if you are an Excel team, why do we play this? Does this maybe have to do with her being played together with Tsukuyo? Oh, we'll figure that out. At least you also start the battle with 30 MP, and that's actually something that is probably the best thing that she has, is that she starts the battle with 30 MP if you're on Magia level 5. Awesome. That gets you to Magia first, which is... It's not super duper terrible, because at least the effect does something, but overall it's still not great. And what's the active? It just makes her hit a little bit harder for one turn, but only a tiny bit, like 10%. 10% is like the lowest they could give. And Magia damage up 12.5. That's also nearly nothing. She's missing stuff. She's just missing stuff. She's not finished. She's not a finished character. What about Tsukuyo? Is she a finished character? I mean, she is indeed more finished than Tsukasa, and she actually has a personal that can be useful sometimes. We're going to get to this later in a bit, but keep this in mind. So she's a balanced type, and she actually has stats. Oh my god, she actually has stats that are usable. Her stats are actually pretty alright, especially if you play her more defensively. Awesome, that actually sounds pretty alright. Her connect does charge attack damage up, that's cool. Critical hit, that's alright. Would have much rather liked like an attack up in there. Like, I keep mentioning like how it's kind of boring that every character has an attack up, but the thing is, exactly because almost every character has an attack up. When a character doesn't have it and doesn't have either a blast up or a damage up or something like that to sort of take that role, then you kind of notice it like, wait a second, why am I suddenly hitting for less damage with the connect? And then you just notice like actually having every character having attack is actually kind of like the baseline now, and if you don't have it, then it actually kind of feels sad. But yeah, at least you get crit, you get charge attack damage up, which is still fine. It's still an average connect, but hey, at least we got an average connect. This connect is awful, but hey, at least Tsukuyo has an average connect that can be useful, especially on a charged team. And it gives attack up to Tsukasa, so maybe you want to play both of them together, or maybe not. Her Magia is attribute, strength, and damage, so it will destroy light types. It's AoE, it gives one effect. Once again, what is up with just giving one effect? She also is missing an effect here, but okay, it gives 40% charged attack damage up, which is also once again good on a charged team, and her double just gives more. Yeah, who cares? But keep in mind that since its attribute strengthen, it will be really awesome against light type. Amazing. This is something you could use against a light type Kimochi if there didn't exist many other characters who are really, really good against light type Kimochi. But let's also go about a Spirit Enhancement before I talk more about her strategy. She has some basic nodes: charge damage, blast damage, MP gain up over 100, charge disc damage. Oh, charge disc damage, 2 of those, 20% charge disc damage up. Cool. Her charge discs hit 20% harder. That's at least something. And she gets some Excel MP gain up. Cool. Some MP gain up. She gets more MP gain up than Tsukasa does, and Tsukasa is a Magia type. Are you guys starting to see that maybe these characters aren't that well thought out? Get some damage shot. She starts the battle with 30 MP, so if you get some MP going, she will reach Magia a lot faster than otherwise. That's amazing. She gets charge count up +3. Said it right this time, which is awesome on a charge team. So we've seen a bunch of stuff that makes her work really well on a charge team, and Tsukasa is supposed to work really well on an Excel team. Are these characters not that well thought out? I'm not quite sure. Her active is chance to Magia Seal and chance to Skill Seal. Why is this not 100%? These effects aren't even so amazing on a single target that it would be too strong if it was 100%. In fact, it would be kind of alright. It would be balanced if this was 100%. But less than 100%, it's terrible. Why? Why do they do that? Why do they make it less than 100% on these effects? Because like they want the single target. On quests where there actually are enemies using Magia or skills, usually it's multiple of them doing that. And with this being single target, it would have been fine if you could just use this on one, but no, they fucked up the active. Whatever. It's fine. So overall, we've seen these characters. We can take a look again at this and say, wait a second, if this monopolized draw, this draws all of Tsukuyo's discs. She's a charge gorilla, therefore she guarantees a charge combo with charge count up +3. Amazing. So you can actually force this bonus, which is actually quite alright. And since her charge discs hit a little bit harder than other people's charge discs, and she still has pretty good attack, she actually hits quite hard. She actually does hit quite hard with these charge discs, and she gets a bunch of charge discs bonuses, and then you can use those for other stuff. Now, what the playstyle seems to be is that you then use these charge bonuses to get Excel, so you use those charge points for an Excel disc, and then you get to her Magia, which allows you to further buff your charge teams, which overall actually seems quite nice. Now, what do we say about playing it together with Tsukasa? Tsukasa gets a bit of attack up, nothing else, but she's terrible and has low attack, so giving her an attack up doesn't really do much. If you play her together with Tsukuyo also from this side, you get the MP restore, which is fine. This helps her get to charge. But the thing is, her getting to Magia means making charges better. And, I mean, if you're going to use charges on Tsukasa's Excel discs to get Tsukasa to Magia, you get this, which buffs Excel MP gain up, but you don't care about that because you're playing a charge team. It's like both of these characters want to play their own team, like want to play their own playstyle, and they don't quite fit together, you know? There's some discord here going on between these two about both wanting to play their own style, and it just doesn't gel well. Like, the overall style was supposed to be like sort of a charge team that uses charge on Excel to get Magia out, but both of their Magias only buff their own part of the playstyle, and both of the Magias in general aren't actually that amazing. The connects, even with the bonus effects, also aren't actually that amazing, and both these characters together in general aren't actually that amazing. But hey, if you're playing a Chargers team, Tsukuyo is actually quite alright. She's actually quite alright in our charges team. If you did watch the video this far, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed this, so hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.